Well, I want to introduce you to Playing with Fire because it is a very, very different story from usual. I normally am known to write the Rizzoli and Io's crime series. This one was based on a nightmare I had while I was in Venice. I dreamt that I was playing my violin and there was a baby sitting next to me. The baby's eyes glowed red and she turned into a monster as I played this music. And that launched the whole idea of music as being a trigger for evil, for weird behavior. And the other half of the story has to do with what happened in Venice during World War II. It's about a musician, a Jewish musician in Venice during World War II. He comes to compose a piece of music called Incendio. 70 years later, this piece of music shows up in an antique store where my heroine, the violinist Julia, buys it. Every time she takes it home and plays it, her 3-year-old daughter goes berserk and does something violent. So the story has to do with one piece of music and how it links the lives of somebody who lived 70 years ago and somebody who lives today. The inspiration came not just from the nightmare, but also from my day of walking around Venice. I ended up in the old Jewish quarter, and there are a number of memorials to the 246 Jews who were deported to Poland during World War II. One of those is a wooden plaque with just the names and the ages of those victims, and among them is a cluster of names called Tedesco. When I looked at that name, something sort of spoke to me and said, this is your story. This is the other half of your music story. So my musician's name is Lorenzo Tedesco, and you see what his family experiences in the run-up to the Holocaust in Italy, the decisions they have to make, which may lead to their deaths, and how music becomes so important to keeping Lorenzo alive. A great deal of this story has to do with what happened to the Jews during World War II in Italy, and that was where my research was primarily focused on. It was an interesting time for Italian Jews. I mean, they could see what was happening in other parts of Western Europe. And we know what happened in Poland and Germany to the Jews, where 90% of them did not survive the war. In Italy, 80% survived the war. And I wanted to explore what was different about Italy. So I looked into what was it about Italian Jews that made them much more likely to not be deported to Poland, where most Jews ended up dying. And I found out that partly it was that Jews in Italy were so well integrated. 44% of Jewish marriages before World War II were to non-Jews. They were in every strata of society. They were well integrated. There was a good chance that your cousin would be Jewish even if you were not, or your brother-in-law. So it was that. Plus, it was something about Italian character. Italians did not necessarily follow the rules, and there was a great deal of rebellion. A lot of them tried to save their neighbors and their friends. And because of that, they were executed by the Nazis. So it was an exploration of not just the Jewish experience, but the experience of those who tried to do the right thing and sometimes lost their lives because of it.